Check, mic check, mic check.
Yes, welcome to the TNA show. I'm your guest host, American Grayson. I'm joined by the regular hosts,
Adam Francisco of Be Free My Sheeple.
And Tara Shapansky, Polish American Brotherhood. I put the T in the TNA show.
That's right, and I put the S in the TNA show. Welcome back to our channel, guys. We have an awesome guest today. It's the second time guest here. He was our first one. That's pretty exciting. Micajah Jackson, welcome to the TNA show. We call you our J6 activist.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Awesome. So we got some news stories with you today. Obviously, you've been a pretty big fixture in the news stories. The left seems to be going after you in a pretty big way lately. It looks like you ruffled a few feathers. And we have your, I guess, what's this document called?
Let's introduce a little bit before we dive into the DOJ.
That's what it is, the DOJ document.
Yeah, so Micajah Jackson, a little bit of background is he was peacefully protesting January 6th at the Capitol. Everybody knows, you went in, you were peaceful, and it's a big reason why your sentencing went so well for you. You've been sentenced, and what we wanted to talk about was a little bit of what the DOJ wrote, and they were trying to put you in jail for essentially what they said was misinformation. So it wasn't even related to what happened on J6. They were saying they want to put you in jail for misinformation, and we'll talk about a bunch of the news articles and how the left wing is trying to smear you.
Sounds great.
And I like your shirt, by the way.
Thank you.
We still don't like commies either, but you hate the commies. We hate the commies too.
Yeah.
So before we dive into the document, tell us a little bit about your sentencing. You don't have to tell us everything, but from what I hear, it seemed like it went really well for you, all things considered.
Yes, it was kind of a gut check a little bit. The sentencing did go well for me. The judge did what he did, being a good judge, minus the fact that he was appointed by President Obama. It's just pretty much what the DOJ was enforcing the prosecutor to do to me. They wrote a 43-page document on me, writing actual lies, misconceptions, and creating a criminal profile fallacy story to create this image that has nothing to do with me, because they needed something to image me because of how vocal I've been in this entire proceeding since January 6th.
Yeah, that's actually pretty true. It was signed off by Sean P. Murphy, United States attorney from Puerto Rico, of all places. Now, I'm not a big legal guy. I'm not the legal expert here, but Puerto Rico isn't even a U.S. state. And why is the Department of Justice working with an attorney who based out of Puerto Rico? So they wrote this entire thing for you, and I think it comes up, let's see, when the first or second page, they contradict themselves.
Well, I'll say it's Puerto Rico for two reasons. Number one, it's probably cheaper to have a lawyer down there write the document up. And number two, crypto whale. He's probably a crypto whale, and they get no taxes in Puerto Rico if they're a crypto whale.
What's a crypto whale?
Someone who has a lot of crypto. Puerto Rico's become a crypto haven. It's where all the rich crypto people are going, because you can avoid paying any income taxes on your crypto investments. So maybe those are the two reasons. Who knows? And by the way, Tara, you're right. I am looking off to the side a lot. And you know why that is?
Why?
It's because I'm trying to look at you.
Stop it.
Even though I can't see you, it's just making me feel more connected to you as the co-host.
I know, but
so
I am
behind.
I am behind in my own little booth, so
right.
I can't even see you, but I'm enjoying my new monitor set so I can see you.
Right. So that's,
but stop looking that way.
That's fine. No, it's nice to.
I give the guys tech notes all the time. Anyways, this is not a tech rehearsal. All about MJ.
That's right.
That's right. So on page 1 and page 2 of the DOJ report, this is where they begin to contradict themselves. They do it a lot. They say that they recognize that you were nonviolent that day. You never promoted violence. You actually told people not to participate in violence. And then down at the end of page 3 and page 3 right there, they say that they think you're going to participate in violence again after saying that you did not participate in violence. And that's when I started getting really kind of more interested in reading this. Like, how does the Department of Justice contradict themselves so quickly in saying Micajah Jackson's peaceful, did not engage in violence, and then on page 3, they say they're worried he is going to engage in violence again?
If anything, his lack of violence on January 6th is proof that he could be in a combustible situation and still not engage in violence. This, to me, would say this is a nonviolent person. You know what I'm saying? And the other thing where they contradict themselves, I'm looking here on page number 2, it says he was aware of the potential for violence as demonstrated by the fact that he brought a backpack with him that contained medical supplies. I'm sorry, but medical supplies are literally to treat any injuries that could arise, not commit violence. Like if they found a knife or a gun in his backpack, that would, to me, would be a potential for violence. But finding medical supplies, in my opinion, is the opposite. I don't know. That's how I'm reading that.
Do you want to comment on that, MJ?
Yeah, they, like I said before, they were creating a criminal profile fallacy story to create this image on me so the judge could give his reasoning for his final sentencing for punishment. And they wanted to throw me in the gulag. They wanted me locked up. The DOJ wanted me locked up, and the prosecutor did whatever he could do. You know, my lawyer even said after the first sentencing hearing, he went on a 20-minute rant and his face was getting red. And my lawyer said that was just not even necessary, and he took it personal. You know, because I've been vocal about this entire thing since day one, before that, since the FBI came to my house, before the arrest, during the arrest, and after the arrest, you know, and I wasn't going to let up on it. I have my right to express myself, and I know what I feel. I know what I saw that day, and we know what's really going on.
You know, I'm looking at these photos of you from inside the building. We're just going to call it that.
Let's go to page 4 and page 5 before we get inside. Go to my iPad real quick. So we have this photo. This is the official DOJ document. They took this screenshot to present to the federal government as the case against him. And it's Micajah Jackson standing there. He's holding the flag. You aren't making any aggressive movements from the photo. And I think if they found you making some, they would have used it. And here's a second photo of you from a distance standing down there holding the flag. And it says, these are pictures of Micajah Jackson at his most aggressive. Yeah, this is your most aggressive stance that you took through the entire episode.
It looks like you're having a conversation, like you're just talking to them while filming.
Yeah, all I said was right there, oath breakers, because what the cops were doing that day. And it's funny, that guy who has the camera facing me right there, that's one of the FBI informants who was a supposed Proud Boy.
Hmm.
So they had multiple FBI informants within those Proud Boys there that day, recording everyone, taking photos of everyone, because they knew what they were doing. They were leading an entrapment into to create a criminal case for anyone they could, for the bigger picture of this entire day of January 6th and where it's been going this entire time.
Yeah, this was definitely a trap, I feel like, meant to demonize a movement, to silence Trump supporters. And I got to give credit where credit's due. It was very effective because people are scared to be, vocal MAGA supporters these days. So Democrats, they did a great job. And, I'm going to say it's probably also some right-wingers too. Some of the establishment, losers that also probably were part of that. But I just find it interesting here that they're calling you the most aggressive here, while one hand is holding a flag, second hand is holding an iPhone. So you're in no position to do anything aggressive. Your hands are full. And second of all, your face is fully exposed unlike a radical left domestic terrorist where they hide their, features and you don't know what the hell they're doing. But you're showing your entire face here. I just feel like it doesn't seem that aggressive to me.
No, yeah, I had nothing to hide, and what I saw that so where those photos are, they already had cops already had their hands on their firearm. They were ready to draw, and they were already looking at people. They were trying to stay calm. But so you see that photo, the right of me, there's an underground tunnel that goes under there. We weren't even there for a minute. That's when the unmarked uniforms and riot cops came out of the tunnel and they started beating people. And that's what initiated a lot of the retaliation of people reacting, because those cops came out of nowhere and they started beating people. And I saw them swinging on regular, just peaceful protesters, just standing there protesting and not doing anything violent, just protesting and yelling.
Yeah, that's crazy. I don't know. I mean, from what I hear, what I've read, Trump requested 5,000 National Guard to be present that day. And, Pelosi and Mario's enemy,
they denied it.
Bowser denied that request for optics. They thought it would look bad.
Oh, Mario's enemy. I just got that.
You get it? Mario Bowser. You guys ever heard that before?
Yeah, absolutely. That was my nickname for her too, because I was spending all that time in DC last year.
Yeah, Mario's enemy. So this whole thing to me felt staged. And, I give a lot of credit to Alex Jones, who I believe was present there and was able to, identify that and pull out. But I also give credit to you guys who, are principled and had beliefs, and you were trying to do what you thought was patriotic. So I think it was well-intentioned for the most part. And my opinion has always been the same thing. If you did not assault a cop, I don't really think that you are deserving of a punishment. You're a peaceful protester.
Well, we saw the pictures of him as most aggressive.
That's most aggressive, right?
Yeah.
And it doesn't look like he's assaulting anybody. But anybody that assaulted a police officer that day, I think should serve, a sentence. Should they be running away in jail in solitude? Absolutely not. I think that's crazy. And I think what they're trying to, do to you it's pretty sad.
What was that other document a while ago? That Grayson, you read to me, and it described him. Yet he continued forward. Yet he
we're
moved
gonna
forward.
get through that. We're gonna hit on that.
Okay.
I want.
It sounded like such a narrative.
Yeah, I'm gonna read that. I want Adam to ask about going inside, and we'll talk about that because we already went over MJ's most aggressive, and then I'll read the next part after.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking at these photos from the document, and literally every single photo, he is just standing there looking around, like taking it all. Look at this photo right here. He's literally just sitting there looking around.
I mean, that was the majority of people too.
But look at him. He's just standing there looking around. Here he is here. Look, it's like he's observing. It literally looks like if this was a shot from a museum high school tour, you'd be like, oh, this is a high school tour.
Yeah, everyone stayed between the lines, right?
Yeah,
well,
MJ,
I actually was.
Yeah, tell us.
So I actually was observing everything. I was watching everyone and what they were doing, but I was also fascinated by all the statues and all the artwork that were in there. I was actually looking for Andrew Jackson. I wanted to take a photo next to him since he's my ancestor. I was truly amazed by. I've never been inside the Capitol, so I thought it was just, oh well, since I'm in here now, I might as well check out the artwork and the statues. And I was just watching everyone, just seeing what they were doing, their reactions, what they were saying, and I was just documenting everything. It's just a moment in history. I wasn't in there to go do harm or anything, because I was kind of confused why I was seeing people in there with like full-on gas mask and military gear. Then I have that footage of John Sullivan. It's like, then it makes you wonder, like, why was John Sullivan inside? Why was he at this event?
Well, he wasn't the only one. I mean,
oh yeah, I know. Oh yeah,
I was there that day, and I saw with my own ears and eyes, I saw people that did not fit the mold of a Trump supporter at all. I mean, some of the people there that I saw, I was walking down. Was it Constitution Avenue? Is that the main avenue?
Pennsylvania?
No, the main one that people that walks towards the Capitol building. Isn't that Constitution Avenue? Is that the name of it? Whatever.
None of us are DC people. Continue with the story.
Anyway, as I was walking down, there were police vehicles that were trying to get to the Capitol, and quote unquote Trump supporters were trying to block the police cars. And then you had this weird dynamic of some Trump supporters saying, leave the police alone, back away. And then you had this group of like 5 or 6 Trump supporters, quote unquote, trying to block the police saying, we don't back you. We don't back you. And I'm like, that sounds like a liberal or a leftist or, you know, Antifa member. And the way they just looked, I mean, they didn't look like Trump supporters at all. One of the guys had the jaw thing going on. You know how like meth head or whatever crack users have their thing with their jaw a lot? One of the guys was doing that. And I'm like, yo, this guy is not MAGA at all. So, you know, I saw my own eyes.
If you talk to if Grayson talks to you about me a little bit, I'm probably one of the very few MAGA people that's actually very anti-police. I've actually, Grayson's even talking about that. You sure you want to go down that route?
You're articulate when we speak about it. You're not anti-police. You're anti-police corruption.
Oh,
I think you make very good points about it. I mean, that's a whole other conversation. But I think you make very good points about police reform. So that's where I'm
police do need to be reformed.
But the pretty much just to hit this real quick before we go further, you know, after going through this entire sentencing, reading all these documents, what the government was trying to do to me, what they did to me, they did not prosecute me and convict me of a petty misdemeanor of parading and picketing. They prosecuted me and convicted me of my First Amendment right. Because parading and picketing is one thing, but when you come after my First Amendment right for saying I'm a conspiracy theorist and misinformation, and I said this about the FBI, I said this about the government, that is a huge First Amendment violation. And you convicted me over my exercise of free speech from going to rallies and going to events and documenting stuff instead of actually just charging me what actually took place on January 6th of my conduct for that actual charge. But instead they went over that.
100%. And there's 43 pages. We're on page 13. And they actually do mention it in this document that they are concerned about your First Amendment rights, about you being able to speak. And that's a big reason why they wanted to put you in jail. But now that we've touched on you at your most aggressive with those 2 photos at the beginning where you're holding the flag, and then we get you inside, they write in this document, and I quote, "Throughout his time on restricted grounds and inside the Capitol, Jackson behaves as a rioter." Keep in mind, we saw those 2 pictures. That was the best that they had, and they really want to throw you in jail. So if they had better, they would have found him. And then we saw you walking around like a tourist on the inside. Behaves as a rioter? I've been to BLM and Antifa protests, riots, and that's how you behave as a rioter at BLM stuff.
This is another example of the left shifting what the meaning of words is. I mean, the left is very good at linguistics. You know, at this point now, they're at the stage where they can't define a woman unless they're a biologist. So I'm not surprised that they've now converted a peaceful protester into a rioter. And conversely, a rioter of 2020 was considered a peaceful protester. So when the left actually riots, it's peaceful. And when the right peacefully protests, it's a riot. You know, so that to me is absolutely crazy.
And here's the most epic part. From the time Jackson stepped onto restricted grounds of the Capitol to the time when he left the East Redundant door, approximately 2 hours passed. Jackson was exposed to a chemical irritant on the West Plaza, and yet he continued forward. He encountered flashbangs and lines of law enforcement resisting the rioters. And yet he continued forward.
Come on, Tara, join us.
He went inside the Capitol, saw folks climbing through windows, heard alarms, and saw broken glass and debris. And yet he continued forward. He was in the crypt as rioters shouted and chanted and violently overran law enforcement.
And yet he continued forward.
It was only after he was exposed to a chemical irritant for the second time while part of a crowd that was attempting to break into the White House chamber. That's a long extended sentence. And Jackson finally turned around and left the Capitol. So like this whole thing, they're exaggerating a bunch of stuff that happened, but they make you sound so badass the way they say, and yet he continued forward.
Bro, you need to join the military or something, because you sound like a badass patriot in my opinion. But yeah, that does sound like a movie.
Yeah, it sounds like a script. I was like, this is a legal document that they're actually using in our courts. I mean, I was just absolutely confused. It's like a novel that we're reading. So I mean, they are making up fiction now.
So I want to read the next one. This is interesting because this speaks to this touches a lot of points here. This talks about our free speech being under attack and the big tech censorship all in one. So it says here, you shared on Instagram that you were being persecuted by the FBI. Even though your account, the JFK report, was shut down by Instagram, the defendant has created new accounts to include JFK report and conservative embassy, an account he co-runs with an individual he identifies as CH. Both are public accounts. He's got a Twitter account with 6,000 followers that was created in May and already has 28,000 tweets, according to the public information. You also have a lot of followers on Gab, Getter, Telegram, YouTube. They include your total view count. That's crazy. Rumble. The court should take note that while speaking to the U.S. Probation Office preparing this report, the defendant reported only one social media account, specifically his Twitter account, the JFK report. This is so absurd. Your prior Twitter accounts, Micajah Jackson, have been suspended. Sometimes the content on these sites is duplicative, and other times not. Are they going to mention the TNA show interview?
No, I already read through it. They don't mention us. Yeah, we got snubbed by the DOJ.
Yeah, because they're talking about in other interviews he's done. I guess we're not on the radar yet like that. Damn, I thought
you hear that, FBI? And he has not been interviewed, so check it out.
I didn't do anything wrong that day, God. But all I'm going to say
neither did I, and I got interviewed.
Yeah, but you have more enemies than I do because you've gone head to head with some of the people on the left. I don't do that.
So the FBI comes to interview you if you have a lot of enemies on the left.
Well,
that's completely true though,
no,
because that they did actually say that to me when they called me. They said I was reported a lot, but they knew I wasn't inside, and that the person I was being accused of being inside had already been arrested also. But this was what they were saying to me at the start, and I'm like, all right, why are you talking to me then? What, like, if you already knew I didn't do anything, but you're just calling basically to intimidate me because they asked me a lot of questions about the things I say on this show.
Right.
Like, what does it mean to stop the steal?
Right. And just for the record, guys, Joe Biden won the election fair and square. There is zero evidence of any widespread voter fraud or any type of, problems. It was a legit election, 100% through and through. Donald Trump lost fair and square, and he's got to suck it up, buttercup. And anyone that says otherwise is a crazy conspiracy theorist and deserves to be removed from the internet and blacklisted forever. As I currently am this week. As I'm currently in jail on my channel. So yeah, this is just crazy stuff, man, that came after you like this and included all these details about your social media.
MJ,
yeah,
how do you feel? How do you feel about all of this?
Since the court case is over with now, it was done that I've actually kind of been a little more angry than I was previously. I wasn't even angry about everything. I was kind of more just anxious, but now I'm kind of upset and angry. But I'm not in the way I'm going to retaliate. Just it's disgusting what they're doing to people. There's people out there that have it far worse. Like the January 6th prisoners sitting in detention without bail and due process and a right to speedy trial. But for me personally, to come after a veteran, a disabled veteran that served in the Marine Corps, that loves his country, that has done no harm and means no harm to anyone or our country, that they would come after me like this. And that's part of the reason why they came after me, because when the FBI picked me up, they wanted me to be silent. They told me, hey, man, just stay under the radar. This isn't nothing. You're going to make more of a scene if you're going to speak out about this, which I just didn't like that. I started speaking out about that, and that's pretty much what I was doing. But what really set it off is, as you guys know, a couple months ago was when I confronted Luke Robinson, and that's what really got them going, is when I exposed another FBI informant that was removed from the J6 wanted list.
Yeah, they're going after a lot of people really hard, and it doesn't make very much sense on why some people, Luke Robinson had a gun on Capitol grounds, are getting removed off of the list and having no charges against him. So, I mean, we don't know for sure if he's an FBI informant, but it looks like
he knew me.
Well,
he met me 10 days after the FBI came to my house.
Is it possible, though, that these, and I'm just devil's advocate here, that these people like Luke were not FBI agents, but gave up information about that day?
That's an FBI informant.
So I guess
they're not. He's definitely not he is definitely not an agent. He's not prior military. He's none of that. I mean, but I think
misdirected fellow who got caught up on something bigger than himself.
Well, that, and I think what it is too is they're using him to because he disrupted that school board meeting last summer and it broke news. And I think they're using Luke Robinson for political motivation to open up cases on other people. And I think, like one of our mutual buddies, Ethan Smith, I bet the FBI has an open case on him just because of hanging around with Luke to get information out of him. And I think that's what Luke does. I think he leads people into political situations where they can open up somewhat of a case and get information out about people that are in our field of politics and that believe in what we believe in.
Yeah,
but that's a
Ethan
different
Smith,
story of the other day.
He just got nuked from Instagram too.
Yeah, he's always getting nuked.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm just very disgusted. I have nothing. Even though he was appointed by President Obama, Judge Moss still did a reasonable punishment. People could disagree or to agree with that. It's whatever. He did what he did. My problem is the FBI, the DOJ, and what that prosecutor was trying to do.
Yeah, the judge seemed like he was very fair in this instance. I'll give him that. And what the DOJ did, the reason why I'm reading through this document is because, it sounds like a CNN article. It doesn't sound like it's coming from the Department of Justice.
No, well, the worst part about it is they leaked information to the media. That document was released to the media before my lawyer knew about it to tell me. Then the media took that and wrote many articles about me and writing hit pieces. Then the even worse part about that is how the DOJ leaked my private letter to the court. That letter was not supposed to anything. It don't matter what they took out of it. That entire letter was supposed to be private because it's sealed right now. The Judge Moss had it sealed. So they released doesn't matter what it is, they still released that letter to the media, which was supposed to be entirely sealed. You just don't seal a certain part. The whole letter was sealed. So that's one thing. And then on page 16 or 17, I think, the DOJ full out lied and said that I possibly violated my pretrial agreements because I was in Rifle, Colorado at Lauren Borbert's famous Shooter's Grill because I was passing through for my grandfather's funeral. When I have all text messages and voice calls from my lawyer and my pretrial officer that I was allowed to drive to Montana for my grandpa's funeral. But they never mentioned that I was driving to Montana for my grandpa's funeral. They only mentioned that, I went to Rifle, Colorado, and he may have not got permission to do that.
So they engaged in conjecture. They engaged in conjecture, and then they tried to do the omission of evidence to convict you of a crime. And if they would have done their due diligence, they would have known that you were following all of the probation protocols. So
yes,
like.
my lawyer even said during the court case that my pretrial report and my probation report both said Micajah never violated any violations or any agreements. He was well behaved. He did everything he was supposed to do. There was no bad conducts or bad reports on me. And then my lawyer also said, when the DOJ was targeting me, that she's like, I'm still failing to understand what Mr. Jackson did that was violent that day. I mean, you guys are trying to say he's this person, but you guys can't say he was violent, but you're trying to say he's violent. So you're failing to say what he actually did on that day. They were just personally attacking me because of how vocal I've been from all the rallies I've gone to, all my viral videos, the media attacking me because of phrases and words I use to get people triggered and how I phrase things, and just being outspoken about this entire event. I pretty much told myself, like, well, if they're going to throw me away, I'll go down the way I want to go down. I can't fight this really in court. So I'll fight it in other ways by using my First Amendment and just doing what I do, just rallies, speeches, interviews, and connecting with people. And then I exposed Luke Robinson that went even bigger.
Yeah, they mentioned your First Amendment activism in specific deterrence. Jackson's words, post-arrest interview, and especially his post-January 6th statements on social media and interviews clearly demonstrate the need for specific deterrence of this defendant, meaning that they are seeking to throw you in prison for it. And down at the bottom, let's see, I lost my place. Knowing all of this, Jackson continues to use his newfound notoriety to spread false information, to his thousands of followers that the media coverage was false and that it was a peaceful protest. It was not. That's what they wrote. They wrote this as it was like an opinion, like they're writing an article. So they're really mad about you speaking out about what you witnessed that day.
You know, my thing about this whole thing is, if he's a conspiracy theory and everything he's saying is so wrong, they wouldn't be threatened by it. But the fact is, it seems like you pretty much nailed everything that they don't want the world to know about. You know, I was reading about earlier how you called January 6th a psyops, and then they go on to explain what a psyops is, how it's a military, nonviolent way to control people's minds. Maybe that's what it was. There's enough evidence for me to look at the situation that day and be like, it's possible. You know, were there angry Trump supporters that were in that mob? Of course there were. We all know that. You know, think about it. We were in the middle of the pandemic. People were locked down, pissed off. They drove across the country to get there. There were Trump supporters in that group, and I know that. But this whole thing seems to be almost like scheduled and planned.
Then they go.
It was, and because, and if we could talk, we're going to keep going on, but real quick. So look at the Whitmer plot. Look what's going on with that, and how the FBI informants now are being brought to the stand and being questioned by the defending lawyers and the jury's watching it. But don't forget, so during the same time, the Whitmer thing was getting staged and set up.
And for those who don't know, Whitmer was quote unquote allegedly kidnapped. There was a plot to kidnap her, right?
Yep. Well, before, so you got that too, but also they stormed the Capitol in Michigan as well, and that could have been a pre-run for leading up to January 6th, because there's been other stormings of capitals too. Like there was a small storming Capitol here in Phoenix during the pandemic, but they dropped all the charges. So there's been small stuff. And January 6th was just a big day. They had the perfect setup. And the thing is too, for years, they've had FBI informants and probably agents inside, like Proud Boys, Oath Keepers, 3%ers, these militias and these big political
groups,
fractions, whatever you want to call them, groups. They've been infiltrated by federal agents and informants for many years, and it was the perfect setup to do what they finally wanted to get done.
That being said, going back to the First Amendment part, I just like reading through of some of the outlandish stuff they say. Jackson is uniquely prolific in his defiant continuation of posting conspiracy theories, giving interviews, and independently investigating members of the community. Apparently, this warrants jail time, according to the DOJ.
How dare you investigate?
I mean, I investigate my Tinder matches. So am I supposed to go to jail for that?
Tender aside, one comparison that could be made is to be sentenced Capitol defendant Jennifer Ryan. Similar to Jackson, she gave numerous interviews and made numerous outlandish claims, including expressing an ultimately misplaced belief that she would not be going to jail. This kind of sounds like a weird threat in a way in the DOJ document. And she considers herself to be somewhat of a social media influencer. So they go on and they're just lamenting about you being on social media, you spreading what they call conspiracy theories, which, several years from now, we're going to find out probably conspiracy fact. And they want you to be sentenced to a similar amount of time.
What's interesting? What's interesting is how that lady said she's not going to jail. I was saying the entire time, like I told you guys, I was saying on social media, no, I'm going to jail and I'm fine with it. I did that phrase, about MLK, Malcolm X, Lenin, and Hitler, about all going to jail. And they're still running with it. And then once I finally didn't get sentenced to prison, that one Nick Marin guy says, well, I guess Micajah Jackson won't be going to jail, so he can't follow through with his prophecy or something like that.
And I just want to point out, Jennifer Ryan, whoever she is, said that she will not go to jail because she is white and has blonde hair. Sounds like she thinks she has white privilege. And the judge told her, no, we revoke your privilege card, and gave her 60 days incarceration. So her white privilege did not work out for her because white privilege is not a real thing.
Oh yeah.
It is a myth.
Well, and that's why the media is really coming after me right now, is because and the DOJ is probably infuriated too. The media and the DOJ wanted me in prison. They needed me in prison because of how outspoken I've been.
Yep.
And the moment I didn't get prison time, they just lost their mind. Like, this guy isn't in prison. What? Are you serious? He's getting away with this? I'm like, what do you mean? I got 3 years probation. I can't have a possession of a firearm for 3 years, and I can't smoke marijuana. Come on.
They timed that out for the next election too. If you think about that,
I know that's
3
what they
years
did. Yeah,
would be 2024. They don't want you getting involved in that.
Because you're a prolific
they think I'm gonna.
You're an activist. You bring people together, and you are unapologetic about telling the truth of what you witnessed.
It's what really saddens me though about this whole situation, guys, and beyond obviously you having to face some time for being a peaceful protester, is I'm surrounded by patriots right now, right? I got you, Micajah. You're a what's it called, veteran of the country, and here's Grayson Arnold, who also is an awesome activist. And the thing is, you guys are constantly getting nuked. Banned, your accounts are getting strike down. Can you imagine if your account never were taken down, how big you guys would be? How big your voices would be heard? I mean, Grayson Arnold here, you've been on CNN multiple times.
yeah.
And you can't even get 10,000 subs on YouTube because I bet I'm saying because I bet if you did, I'm saying because I bet if you did, they would nuke your channel. That's my point, though.
Yeah, just like shadow banned. Yeah.
Correct. That's what I'm saying. They're shadow banning, suppressing us, and same with you. You had a Twitter account and they took you down. And Ethan Schmidt, he would have had how many TikTok followers if they allowed his content?
A million.
Millions.
Yeah.
So all of this said, they're doing everything they can to destroy our movement, and we're still freaking breathing, limping along.
But remember, it was a while ago when they first censored Alex Jones, and he said that they were going to be coming after everyone. And even Temple was just saying that maybe a couple of weeks ago on one of his shows, that they are really going to be coming after everyone. Yeah. I do feel like when the FBI came and talked to me, or it was on the phone, the purpose of that was for intimidation and to be shutting me up, because I'm like, we're small time YouTubers with not big fan following, so I consider we're normal. We're normies.
Yeah,
we're normies.
We're the former liberals.
Yeah, but the thing is even though the big accounts like Alex Jones, Tim Pool, Glenn Beck, all them guys, they have a huge audience. Yes, they do a major impact, but small people like us, we do just as big as the impact, because we're so small still that we still talk to everyday people, especially out in doing local stuff, getting out there and talking to regular people and doing interviews and just going out and just living a regular day life. And we do, personally, I feel that we do more far greater work than the bigger people do. Yes, they have more of a bigger audience, but we're personally working one-on-one with people, and that's Absolutely. Why they fear us, because there's so many of us in our shoes. Because every time me and Grayson or all you guys, we go to these small events, how many times do we run into other people doing the same thing as us that we already know, or we meet someone new? All the time.
Well, I think also because when you see maybe a celebrity being censored, you consider a celebrity to be at a high level, unattainable, to a different pedestal. But when you see this happening to everyday normal people, that's more relatable in a sense, and it really hits home to what is the purpose of what's going on. It's not, and because if they were just trying to shut down voices, they would be targeting just the ones who had big platforms. But it's more than just trying to shut down our voices, because they're going after every single person, regardless if they have a wide audience or a small audience, because it's all about controlling us.
Yeah, we're the seeds. We're the small, tiny little seeds, and they want to kill us before we have a chance to grow.
Well, we are the rose that grew from concrete.
We are the rose that grew from concrete. That's exactly what I was going to say. I love that analogy. I just got a comment, by the way, on my TikTok.
Tupac.
I did a post about this stream, and somebody on my TikTok commented, "Traitors get what traitors deserve," and Ashley Babbitt got instant justice.
Oh, that's terrible. That's disgusting.
That's a
that's
patriot
disgusting.
who died.
Can you imagine
fighting for freedom?
I've never said anything about George Floyd like that ever.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever I see somebody who got the, and they pass away, I'm not like, good, this proves my point. I'm like, that really sucks. And, I hope that they get justice one day and rest in peace. That's what I say.
Yeah.
And for them to say that
Yeah.
about Ashley Babbitt, who, had no weapon, there were police all behind her.
Yeah.
No warning shots.
I've met her mom. Her mom's a very sweet lady, and there's even people on our side that say that it was all staged and fake. I'm going to tell you, I was in that area. It wasn't staged or fake. I personally have I have a personal friend who was standing right there when it happened. My buddy Alex Shepard, like that. He has nightmares over that. That stuff isn't fake. That's real life government execution. This is why I call January 6th the DC massacre, the American psyop. The government, there was 4 or 5 people killed that day. People were executed and killed. We haven't seen something like this since when the British killed 9 Boston people during the Boston massacre. But instead of being the British, this was the United States government. This is why I call January 6th the DC massacre. And this is why I still call January 6th a dark day in history, because the United States government attacked the American people. They staged a psyop, and they made it look like a coup attempt against a presidential election when it was never a coup attempt. It was a setup, and it was a psyop, and it was a massacre on our American liberty, on American lives. And now we're seeing how much further they're going with this, like the January 6th committee, which I have the subpoena sitting in my backpack right now. They subpoenaed my cell phone data without a lawful warrant. The FBI had to use a warrant to get into my cell phone. And this January 6th committee thinks they're special, that, oh, we could take his cell phone data without a warrant. No. The Fourth Amendment is always the Fourth Amendment. You need a lawful signed warrant by a judge, and I have to see it before you take my data. And they did not do that. They violated my Fourth Amendment. They violated my First Amendment. My 14th Amendment was violated.
The Fourth Amendment, for those wondering, as I looked it up just now, the right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrant shall issue but upon probable cause, supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the persons or things to be searched. So that's
they need a
Fourth
warrant.
Amendment.
Basically, that's basically what it says.
Well, not even that. And there was a Supreme Court case back in the early 2000s when cell phones were coming out. The cops broke into this guy's cell phone without a warrant, and they had to drop the case, and he was innocent because they violated his Fourth Amendment, so he won his case. So there's Supreme Court cases already saying, no, a phone's private property. You need a warrant. And they took my data without a warrant. You subpoenaed my data. If you use a warrant to get it done, then you subpoena my data. Okay, I'm cool with that. But you skipped my warrant. And the FBI had to use a warrant to even get my phone into my phone. And you're going to skip that. And the FBI is just, that was straight up wrong. And they violated my Bill of Rights, my constitutional liberties. I did to me still. When I had legal representation, the FBI contacted me directly before contacting my lawyer first to talk to me about January 6th when they were supposed to call my lawyer first. So they violated that. Then when I was actually on the phone with big time lawyers, when I already had legal representation already too, they tapped into my phone. And I've actually had my phone tapped in a few times recently as well. So I keep getting tapped into. My social media has been tried being hacked into. I've had corporations like Lyft, Airbnb, GoFundMe just delete me off their platform. Says, "Oh, you were arrested for January 6th for violent crimes. You are no longer allowed to be on this platform." It's like, but I was convicted of a petty Class B misdemeanor. So there's no one's talking about the other things that are happening behind the scenes. And like I told you guys earlier, they didn't convict me of a parading and picketing demonstrating charge. They convicted me for my First Amendment and being an American citizen and being outspoken. This is a full-on political persecution, and this is why I call it fascism. It's not. This is what communism governments do this too, but they oppress everyone.
Yeah, I think the
fascism,
media, I think the media did
fascism,
a lot.
oh yeah, and fascism suppresses a certain political ideology, and that's like all of you guys, where they suppress one side, and that's why the media freaks out more about me too, is because when you call them communists, they don't bat an eye. It's like, whatever. But they don't like how much I talk about calling people fascists, and I call the government fascist. They've read in a couple articles and tweets about that, how I call everyone fascist. They don't like that.
Yeah, so we actually have from a suspected pedophile, Jordan Fisher. He made a blue check mark on Twitter. He made a statement. Judge Moss told Micajah Jackson he wanted him to spend his time at a halfway house, reflecting on why he was there. He spent the first day instead sharing videos of white supremacist Nick Fuentes and calling just about everyone else a fascist. Okay, Nick's not a white supremacist, and I just thought it was funny how Jordan Fisher is so upset. You're like, these people are fascists, when it's like, what are they trying to do to you? I mean, it fits the mold. I mean, people have made allegations against this guy. I don't know if they're true or not. But anyway, it's interesting how the media started to run at you about this, and you pointed out that a lot of it is kind of parallel to fascism, and there's this journalist who's upset that you're making the comparison, calling just about everyone else a fascist.
What's this guy's name?
Jordan Fisher. You're gonna look him up, but it goes on.
Oh yeah, he did I forgot about Nick Martin, because one of the first things he shared about me is from one of my YouTube videos when I had a book from Ted Kaczynski. It's a book about it hits really hard on leftism and Marxism because he despises that, and he did a YouTube tweet saying, this Mr. Jackson talking about fascism and white liberals and relating them to Nazis, but look, he has a Ted Kaczynski book, The Unabomber, on his desk.
Yeah, ridiculous. Yeah, Nick Martin is another weirdo from Arizona. I mean,
oh yeah,
he does not
well,
look
Bram
as good in that
Resnick.
picture. He's actually a lot more.
Oh yeah, and Bram Resnick is even one of the worst. He's the reason why he has a bone to pick with me is because he's a local reporter here in Phoenix, and I saw him harassing Kerry Lake running for governor here in Arizona, and I told him I was following him when he was harassing her. I'm like, stop harassing Kerry, stop harassing women. And then I called him a commie, and he turned around and froze and stared at me. And then when I uploaded that video, that's when he went on and said, Mr. Jackson, I was arrested for January 6th. You marched with Proud Boys and all this stuff. And what's even worse about this, I have another tweet that I didn't know he made. I have it saved. He went on Twitter and said I was charged with 4 felonies. He straight out lied. How are you going to say I was charged with 4 felonies? Did you read the document? Did you read anything? I was never charged. I wasn't even charged with a single felony. So that's what these people are doing. They're lying. They're saying misconceptions. They're trying to make a story because they don't like because I get a kick out of it. I'll tweet at these guys and I'll send them memes, and it just freaks them out. Because I tweeted at Bram last week saying the day after court, it's only the beginning. And then he tweeted out and quoted.
I got that up.
That's unsolicited.
Yeah. Jackson responds. Micajah Jackson's unsolicited response. It's only the beginning, Bram Resnick.
But no, yeah, I send these people memes and everything, and they don't respond back, but they'll write a story or quote them and be like, this is what Mr. Jackson wrote to me. Because there was this one time, Grayson, you were with me. We got ice cream downtown, and I had my mega hat, and I took a photo by next to the ice cream. Just a hat and the ice cream. So I sent, so it's only the hat that said Make America Great Again with the ice cream. I sent it to a CNN journalist. The very next day, the very next day, my lawyer called me. She's like, Mr. Jackson, why did you send a photo of a hat and ice cream to this journalist?
Well, these people are so easy to troll.
And I told her, I'm like, listen, she's like, I'm just trying to understand. Like, I know it doesn't mean anything because it's a hat and ice cream, but why'd you do it? I'm like, well, because I can. She's like, just leave the media alone. Because the DOJ is one thing, but the media is just my biggest problem is the media because of what they were doing and what they have done. And it's just funny watching them freak out from what I send to them, because I just troll them. I'm not saying anything violent. I'm not advocating for any violence. I just send them memes. I just say stuff and they just freak out.
Well, yeah, we have another news article. Arizona man gets probation for his role in horrific events of January 6th. We went through the whole DOJ document, and it looks like the media is just trying to make this false narrative about what happened. Are they trying to lie about you?
Well, yeah, that because of how outspoken I've been and how I tweet at them and call them out. I've gone on some pretty big shows. I've met some pretty good people, some great people, and just telling them what actually happened on January 6th and why I call it the DC massacre and why it was a psyop and it was a staged coup attempt. It counters their narrative, and they know that they get so little views and so little coverage compared to like what we're doing. They can't have that. They have a set narrative and they have an agenda, and they know they're losing grip with it the closer we get to midterms and every day we win.
Grayson, you shared an interesting article today, and I have it pulled up on the screen on your Instagram account. January 6th committee plans to use key video evidence and hire a writer to build a compelling narrative for the public. And this ultimately is what it's all about, is creating a narrative to the point that they're actually hiring writers.
Fiction writers. They're hiring a fiction writer to write a movie about this.
Yep. They could hire my prosecutor. That's what he did in my sentencing document. He was perfect.
A good piece of script right there.
Yeah, what's that guy's name again? Don't go to my screen. I'm gonna look it up.
But yeah, that's.
And yet he continued forward.
And yet he continued forward. That's right.
That's gonna be your new catchphrase.
Yeah, he continued forward. Who's calling me from New York? Is that my friend Pete? I think my friend Pete's calling me. Anyway, Pete, we'll talk to you after this stream. Do you have TikTok, Micajah?
No, I don't want that. I stay away from that.
I was just curious because as I was telling Tara off, before the stream, there's this feature called battling where you kind of have conversations like this and people tip you in coins, and it's a pretty good way to make some money on the internet. I'm super impressed. So,
yeah,
weird.
If you're willing to sell your soul to the CCP through TikTok, then you can potentially make some money.
Oh, and that's another reason they're coming after me too. Is I've been very open about me being in school studying to be a professor, and the ideas I talk about and what I advocate for, they can't have that at the academia intellectual level. They see me as some dumb white Christian male, but at the same time, they know I'm in school studying to be a political philosopher professor, and I have intellectualism and I have ideas. A lot of them could be radical or reactionary, and that's a threat to them, because once I get into the schools and I'm teaching, I could change thousands of minds for the next American generation, and being a professor, there's a lot of high respectful professors in America over the years, just from education, speeches, and just being an advocate. That's my biggest thing is I want to take back our education, because that's where we need to change. Was restoring God back in our nation, but also taking back our education and not indoctrinating, but educating our fellow Americans.
You should get in there and tell them there are two genders. That's the most radical thing that you can say in an academic setting, is say that there are two genders.
That's hate speech, Tara.
Yeah. Well, one of my classes right now is one of my political science classes. The whole entire class knows I was arrested for January 6th, and I have these social media accounts, and everyone besides me and maybe another person, they're all extremist socialists, and they pity the line for socialism and Marx. And this one girl, she keeps going to the professor, and she stalks my social media, and she's trying to get me in trouble, and she's like deeply terrified of me. And I've never met this girl. She's full on terrified of me. These people live in, this is why they freak out, because they live in this fallacy of ideologies that just does not exist. And once you attack that, all their hope is gone, because they can't grip reality.
Very true. So, we're going to wrap up the interview, and I wanted to touch on I want to mention the guy's name again who signed off on the DOJ document. Sean P. Murphy for the District of Columbia, bar number, blah, blah, blah. U.S. Attorney's Office from the District of Puerto Rico. Why is Sean P. Murphy not in Washington, D.C.? I don't know. Maybe there's a good reason. But to me, Puerto Rico's not a state. It kind of seems like Washington, D.C. is using this guy. They use these weird loopholes to get out of certain legal obligations. That'd be my conjecture for this, because the Department of Justice does not come from Puerto Rico. It should be in the Administrative District of Columbia.
So from what I asked my lawyer this, so since Puerto Rico's in a U.S. territory, they're allowed to have an office down there. And Sean Murphy is an ATF prosecutor. So who knows what they're using him down there for. My entire sentencing was done through Zoom. It was never in person. So they were using Zoom. But I do still find it weird that we have an office in Puerto Rico when he was.
So you've never faced your accusers. You've never been face to face with any of these people trying to charge you. And these people aren't even located in the United States of America?
No. And the other thing is, too, is even if there's a probation violation, which I'm not going to, I don't break laws. I'm a law-abiding citizen. I has to go back to, I have to see Judge Moss again in D.C. They don't send it to Arizona. They refuse to keep everything. And the only thing that's sent to Arizona is just my probation sentence. But everything else has to be done in D.C. because D.C. wants to control everything because of this. But, and before we end this, too, I'm going to say this. We saw the Kavanaugh hearing. We saw what leftists did at the Oklahoma state capitol. Then a few months ago, we saw them attack the environmental building in D.C. where they actually attacked cops and they broke inside. What we saw on January 6th is going to be nothing compared to what they're going to have in store when President Donald Trump is back into the Oval Office. It's going to happen. We were a test run and we were persecuted, but these radical fascists, these socialists, and these anarchist communists, they're going to make January 6th look like a cakewalk. And and more than likely the government's just not going to do anything about it. But when President Donald Trump gets back into office, when he's restored back into office, or if he gets back elected in 2024, we're going to see something that we've never seen before. January 6th is not going to be anything like what these people have in store, especially when Trump gets back into office. They're going to get, we saw what happened when he first got in office, when they were rioting in D.C. Yep. It's going to be even worse than that.
They stormed the White House. I remember
that's
that.
right. They did that
Donald
too.
Trump got his inauguration. They stormed the White House. They're knocking down fences.
They did that too. Yep. This is going to be. They have something planned far worse than that we could ever imagine, and January 6th was the setting stone for it.
Very well said.
Yeah, it's going to be insane. 2024 is going to be crazy.
So go to the gym.
Well, I'm
going
to be there because I'm going to document that.
Yeah, you need to get fit because 2024 is going to be insane. So go to the gym, get fit, be ready for what's coming.
Yep. So yeah, that's why you guys, like Grayson said, go to the gym, be fit. But before that, be spiritual. Find Jesus Christ as your Savior. Make time to read Scripture. Read it. Meditate on it. Pray to God. Ask for forgiveness. Redeem yourself. Spread the gospel. Live about it. Be about it. Hit the gym. And always find knowledge. Read books. Go build something. Go ask questions. Go get a degree. Go learn a trade skill. Always have to learn. Prepare for the future to save America.
I love it. Thank you so much for coming on, Micajah.
No, thank you guys. I appreciate you guys. I hope to see you guys all soon.
You forgot to say buy crypto, bro. Go buy some crypto.
Oh yeah. I forgot. Yeah, no, I'm actually into crypto right now. Yeah, crypto's really a deal right now.
What coin are you into? What coins do you like?
ApeCoin, Shiba, Doge, and there's this Ethereum 2. Not Ethereum, but Ethereum 2. And there's one that I like. It's called Radical. It's not The L was flip flopped. It's like LE instead of AL. I just like the name, so I got Radical. So, but yeah,
I never heard,
yeah,
I
and I
never heard
hope.
of Ape. I never heard of Ape or Radical.
Oh yeah, they're good. So yeah, I appreciate you guys having me on, and I'm got to, since I'm on probation now, I know I'm allowed to go anywhere. Just got to let my probation officer know. I'm gonna have to make it out to Florida because I've never been there, and I need to go see you guys, and I have time to go out there. So I've never been to Florida.
Bro, you got to come on down.
Yes, well, all expenses. You pay half.
All right. Well, I appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
All right, well, guys, that's going to wrap up another awesome day here at the TNA show. We had a great time. I'm actually going to be going on TikTok live tonight, so if you guys want to see me on TikTok, go to my TikTok page. We're going to be going live about an hour there, and I'm going to be battling some people. And I'm telling Tara, you got to start using TikTok, Tara.
I will.
We need your
No,
I'm like, I'll be like the TikTok queen,
Tara
and they can send me whatever coins they
Tara
are
is
telling
literally
me about.
built for TikTok. She's pretty. She's talented. She's got that stage presence. TikTok. She's a dream for TikTok. They made you.
I'm gonna do that thing with the music, like bounce my head and like twist my eyes.
Yeah, you should do the you should do the Ahagao face.
What?
Can you show the Ahagao face on the Instagram? You know what I'm talking about. The Ahagao face, the Japanese face.
There it goes. Yeah, that's a good one.
You know what I'm talking about. Yeah, exactly.
I think it just made some people come.
Yeah.
But
Oh shit.
Gross.
You'll be making Grayson come later. Oh shit. Anyway, guys,
Shut your mouth.
this is the TNA show. Thank you for watching so much. Really appreciate you guys being here. Find it on the TNAshow.com. Also, Polish American Brotherhood, Dan Francisco, Pure Politics.
Yeah,
Peace
like
out,
and
guys.
subscribe. Follow JFK Report.
Let's go, Brandon.
The JFK report. Thank
Oh yeah, JFK Report. Go follow him. He's a great
he's
guy.
still here. Remember?
Wait, let's pull up his page before you go. Hold on. Where is he?
Yeah, we'll get him on there.
Where is he? Which
Yeah,
one do you want?
like
Twitter?
and subscribe.
Do you want Twitter? What do you want?
Do the Twitter one because that's where all the normies are at. I think everybody knows about the Telegram. I try to share it.
Twitter. Hold
There's
on.
good takes on that.
Let me get the suspected pedophile off my screen.
My
Brother,
Telegram's actually growing pretty good now. It's
Here he
starting to
is.
shoot up.
Here he is. JFK
Nice.
Report. Boom. Get him to 8,000 subs, guys. Only 5 of you have to follow. No, 205 you have to follow. He'll be at 8,000.
Follow him on Twitter just to piss off the Department of Justice because they are upset about everything that he says on there.
That's right.
Oh yeah, I take this as a win. You know, they tried throwing me in prison. No matter how dark it is, it was a win because I'm not in prison and the media is freaking out. It was a win regardless. But thank you guys and God bless you all.
And God bless Trump.
Christ is king.
And God bless Trump. Yeah, gripers. Shout out to who? Shout out to who?
Grayson, American
Shout
Grayson.
out to Nick
yeah.
Fuentes. Yeah.
America first.
Yeah, TNA show. God bless Trump.